Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel that talks about crime stories and some of the trepidous and crazy things and sometimes good things that take place throughout our country and our world. And if you are new to the channel or one of my continued followers, if you want to support, I do have a Cash App at $Trevor Donald 20. That's $TREVORDONALD 20. And any donations or support would be much appreciated. And I got one coming straight out of Polk County, Tampa, Florida, that just recently happened. With a ton of arrests that I hope will change the immoral fabric that is taking place in our country and in our society and make it more of a positive, moral, and ethical society for us to live in. So here we go. Polk County Sheriff's Office arrests 228 people during 8-day human trafficking enforcement operation called Operation March Sadness 2024. This is right out of Tampa. And the media contact person is Carrie Hortzman, is the administrator. So they say during an 8-day-long undercover human trafficking operation, which began on Thursday, February 22, 2024, the Polk County Sheriff's Office Vice Unit arrested 228 suspects involved in illegal acts related to soliciting prostitutes, offering to commit prostitution, or aiding and abetting prostitutes. These are the detectives from the case: Arbondale PD, Davenport PD, Haines City PD, Lakeland PD, Lake Hamilton PD, Lake Wales PD, St. Cloud PD, and Winter Haven Fire Rescue assisted with the investigation. The Office of the State Attorney, 10th Judicial Circuit State Attorney Brian Haas, members of the Florida Department of Children and Families and Social Services organizations One More Child, Heartland for Children, and Sela Freedom were also on hand. Those who traveled to provide prostitution services were screened by detectives and the social services organizations to determine if they were being trafficked or exploited by others, and were offered services by the social services organizations at the operation. During this investigation, 13 possible human trafficking victims were identified of the 66 prostitutes who were arrested. There were 150 suspects arrested for soliciting prostitution and traveling to an undercover location to negotiate having sex in exchange for money. 12 other suspects were arrested, and of those, 8 were either deriving proceeds from P or transporting P to the undercover location. Detectives charged a total of 70 felonies and 288 misdemeanors during the investigation. The suspects' criminal histories included a combined total of 879 felonies and 1,150 misdemeanors. Wow. They said this is a new record of arrests during an investigation of this kind. More importantly, we identified 13 human trafficking victims during 2 previous similar operations in February and October of 2023. We identified 24 and 21 victims respectively. That's 58 victims we were able to identify in 1 year. The valuable relationships that we have with the social services organizations who join us in these operations make it possible for these women to get help and be emancipated from this way of life, Sheriff Grady Judd said. Here are some interesting notes from the operation. 21 of the arrested are suspected of being in the country illegally. 21 of the arrested are suspected of being in the country illegally. Those who are here illegally are from Chile, Cuba, Guatemala, Mexico, Peru, and Venezuela. Does that sound somewhat familiar with this migrant crisis that's taking place at our borders? Guatemala, Mexico, Venezuela, Chile, Cuba, Peru. Keep that in mind. 41 suspects told detectives they were married. 11 suspects told detectives that they received government assistance. 44 suspects brought illegal drugs to the location. Detectives seized fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, MDMA, hydrocodone, Xanax, methamphetamine, and marijuana. 15 suspects brought firearms to the undercover location. 17 firearms were seized in total. 18 of the suspects were from other states and Puerto Rico. Here are the states: Alabama, California, Georgia, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. We all know that Florida is a vacation state, and so you're going to see all types of people across this country and in the world that will come to Florida. But hopefully not for illicit and illegal activity. The oldest person arrested was a 73-year-old, while the youngest is 16 years old. Two brothers, ages 16 and 17-year-old, came to the location armed with a BB gun, wearing hoodies and ski masks, and creeping around the undercover location as if they were about to commit an armed robbery of the undercover detectives, who was posing as a prostitute whom they solicited online. Omar and Kalam Najar were both charged with attempted armed robbery, a felony, as well as loitering and prowling. During these types of undercover investigations, the sheriff said, I can truly say that we have seen it all, and yet we are still surprised by some of the violent acts we encounter. These two young teenagers were incredibly lucky that they did not brandish a firearm while stalking who they thought was a woman of the night at the location filled with law enforcement officers. This could have ended very badly for them. This should also illustrate just how dangerous it is to agree to have sex with someone in exchange for money. There were 13 other suspects who brought firearms to the location. And here are some of the other individuals that, for example, that the sheriff stated in his press conference who were caught. And excuse me for messing up these names. But one was Freddie Escalana, date of birth 9/6/1993, of Chicago, Illinois, who was charged with human trafficking and deriving proceeds from prostitution. Escalana loaned a victim money to fix her car and made her do illicit things on the streets for money to pay back the money to him. He drove the victim to the undercover location and was taken into custody. He told detectives that he had several females that he worked who paid him to transport them and keep them safe. So he's trying to justify why he's having these young ladies commit these kinds of illegal acts. The investigation is ongoing and further charges are pending. There's a female, Maria Guzman, date of birth 5/29/1987, of Orlando, who was charged with human trafficking and deriving proceeds. Guzman trafficked two victims from a hotel in Orlando. She set up their dates and profiled and profited from the money they made. There were 83 suspects arrested for soliciting a woman of the night and traveling to an undercover location to negotiate having relations in exchange for money. 17 other suspects were arrested, and of those, 5 were either deriving proceeds from prostitution or aiding and abetting prostitutes, and 8 drove the women of the night to the undercover location. Detectives charged a total of 44 felonies and 242 misdemeanors during this investigation. And so they had scenarios like 35 of the arrested are suspected of being in the country illegally, as I said, and 3 of those were identified as victims of human trafficking. Those who are here illegally are from 6 different countries, as I stated: Cuba, Chile, Venezuela, Mexico, Guatemala, Colombia, and the Bahamas. 41 suspects told detectives they were married. 13 suspects told detectives they received government assistance. 42 suspects brought illegal drugs to the location. 2 of the suspects brought firearms to the undercover location. As I said, the oldest person was 76 years old. His name was Frank Bidark, while the youngest is 18 years old, not 16, 18 years old, and that was Latrice Ville-Saint. This was an operation that had been needed to take place not only in Polk County or Tampa, Florida for a long time, but it needs to take place in many of our major cities across America. We have Figueroa Street, that's well known in LA. You have Aurora, that is known in Seattle. There are several popular streets in Phoenix, Arizona, where this illicit behavior is taking place. In Chicago, on the west side of Chicago, you have Kensington, Philadelphia, which has tons of opioid issues, trafficking of all types. Kensington has become very popularized as a zombie town. And as of the latest news, they're supposed to be cleaning, the mayor is supposed to be cleaning that area up, and there's supposed to be regentrification taking place. This is happening in all of our major cities. In St. Louis, the south side of St. Louis off of Broadway, you see women of the night walking up and down the street, and there's a heavy preponderance of drug trafficking that takes place right here in St. Louis, Missouri. So this is no new news. The new news is that actually Polk County made an affirmative and took action to remove this illicit activity that's taking place down in their city, which is breaking down and tearing down the humanity, the moral and ethical fabric of many of our major cities, and definitely in Tampa. And if you've ever been to Tampa, I've traveled all over the country. You don't have to actively want to go out and solicit anybody. You see this stuff going on in broad daylight. As I talk about the pillars that are destroying America as a whole: mental illness, the opioid crisis, homelessness, joblessness, inept inner city public schools, gun violence, and trafficking. If our American system and our government, why they nitpick about things that really don't have any effect or matter to the average citizen, we're trying to work our jobs, pay our mortgage. Public safety is a real issue. People want to go to work, leave their homes, go to work, go to the grocery store, do the things that they need to do, go to the mall, and come home in one safe haven. And that is being tempered and being challenged every day with all of the craziness that's taking place in our society. We are having a real public safety issue and crisis in many of our major cities. The numbers of police officers that are retiring or leaving the force are going up, and the number of people that want to become police officers and stay till retirement, the numbers are going down. Governor Landry in the state of Louisiana has called a state of emergency, saying that across the entire state, they need almost 3,000 police officers to ensure that public safety is being utilized in the right way. And we need good, great cops, black and white. Defunding the police is not the appropriate way to go. And us self-policing ourselves with nonprofits and a gun-toting society is not where we should be headed. This is not the wild, wild west and cowboys and Indians. Most of us are trying to live a positive, civilized, nonviolent existence. So this is fantastic, and we have to applaud the sheriff down in Polk County that made this initiative, and they've done this a few times, and they hit the jackpot to a certain degree with arresting almost 228 people over 8 days. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. This stuff is taking place. Trafficking is taking place all across the world, let alone right in the backyard and the doorstep of our American citizens. So we have to applaud the sheriff in Polk County. There was a news conference, and he laid it all out, and we need to uplift our social service organizations to help these individuals that are in need, and this trafficking needs to stop. The only time that we need to use the word trafficking is when we're in our car during rush hour going to and from work or places that we want to enjoy ourselves. But human trafficking should not be two words that go together. Trafficking needs to stop. The opioid crisis, the number of drugs that are entering our country and hitting our streets is devastating our American citizens. And we need more sheriffs in all of our major cities and counties throughout the country to come together, galvanize, and let's change this chasm of chaos that is taking place in most of our major cities, counties, and states. Tell me what you think. This just took place a few days ago where they have arrested many of the perpetrators on both sides of the trafficking part and on the solicitation side. Hopefully this will be a wake-up call to the people that are viewing this channel and have paid attention to what took place in Polk County. And if one is thinking about or deciding to participate in trafficking, hopefully they will get scared and make a different decision and find something constructive to do with that kind of negative energy and turn it into something positive. We need to regain our humanity, love each other, no matter what race, creed, color, gender that person is. We're all creatures of God. And let's try to have more video channels talking about positivity. We also need to display and let it be known and shine a light on the negative things that are taking place, because people are working, they're not watching national news. They may get a glimpse of something on social media, but there's a lot of trepidous and crazy things that are taking place, and our public safety is being infringed on each and every day. So I'm not bringing this issue in Polk County to glamorize it. I'm bringing it up to raise our level of consciousness, to be better and to do better each and every day, and not be an advocate for nonsense, negativity, violence whatsoever. Let's try to decrease the opportunity for negative energy and getting arrested and going to jail, and let's increase our positivity to where we view police officers, lawyers, judges, and our judicial system as something, as a safe haven, and not something that you're going into where it's you versus the state of Florida, the state of Illinois, or you versus the U.S. government. We need to stop having paperwork that looks like that. And we need to be advocates for our government and our public safety. And we need to make sure that we vet the right officers, the right people that want to be in law enforcement and in government. And let's get this country back to a communal state where we reach one, teach one, and to extend an olive branch of positivity and love. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. I appreciate your support and your 2 ears to listen and your 2 eyeballs to take a look at my videos. And please share this commentary with anybody you think will find it informative. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you want to donate to this cause of my video and what I'm putting out here, don't forget I have a Cash App at $Trevor Donald 20. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.